Close your eyes for just one moment. I want you to picture something. Picture the African savanna at dawn. The sun is barely rising over the horizon, painting the sky in shades of gold and amber. The grass is still, the air is quiet. And in the middle of that vast open landscape, standing completely still, completely calm, completely unbothered by everything around it, is a lion, not running, not chasing, not panicking, not looking over his shoulder to see what the other animals think of it, not comparing itself to the cheetah that runs faster or the elephant that stands taller. Just standing there, present, powerful, and deeply, unshakably certain of exactly who and what it is. Now open your eyes and ask yourself, when was the last time you felt like that? When was the last time you moved through your life with that kind of certainty, that kind of calm authority, that kind of deep, unshakable, knowing that you belong exactly where you are, that you are built for exactly what you are pursuing, that no opinion, no setback, no rejection, and no obstacle has the power to shake the foundation of who you are? Because here is the truth that most people never fully grasp. The lion is not born the king of the jungle because of its size alone. It is not crowned because of its speed or its beauty or some random stroke of fortune. The lion earns its position through something far more powerful, through its mentality, through the way it thinks, the way it moves, the way it responds to hunger and to failure, the way it carries itself through a world that is not always kind, not always fair, and not always ready to hand anything to anyone on a silver platter. And today, in this speech, we are going to study that mentality. We are going to break it apart layer by layer and find inside it the principles that every human being who has ever achieved something extraordinary has lived by, whether they knew it or not. Because somewhere inside you, beneath the self-doubt, beneath the fear, beneath the years of being told to shrink, to be quiet, to be realistic, to settle, there is a lion. And that lion has been waiting, patiently, quietly, with the kind of stillness that only something truly powerful can maintain. Today, we wake it up. Stay with me. Every word of what follows is for you. There is something that happens to human beings, particularly to those who dare to want more than average, who dare to dream beyond the boundaries that their environment, their upbringing, or their community has drawn around them. And it is one of the most quietly damaging experiences a person can go through. It is the moment when they look at the size of their hunger, the magnitude of their ambition, the audacity of what they want to build and become, and they feel ashamed of it. They begin to shrink it. They begin to qualify it. They begin to apologize for it in 1,000 small ways, downplaying their goals in conversations, making their dreams sound smaller so the people around them feel comfortable, hiding the full force of what they want because somewhere along the way they absorb the message that wanting too much is arrogant, unrealistic, or selfish. The lion never does this, not once, not for a single moment. The lion feels its hunger and it owns it completely, without explanation, without apology, without any interest whatsoever in whether the other animals on the savannah approve. The hunger is not something the lion is embarrassed by. It is the very force that drives every movement, every strategy, every burst of explosive action the lion takes. The hunger is not a weakness to be hidden. The hunger is the engine. And the lion knows at the deepest level of its nature that its hunger is not just for itself. It feeds the pride. It feeds the family. The hunger serves a purpose far greater than simple self-interest, and that understanding gives it a dignity that cannot be questioned. Your ambition is your hunger, and you were never supposed to apologize for it. The world will try to make you feel guilty for wanting greatness. It will dress that guilt up in the language of humility. Stay grounded, be realistic. Who do you think you are? But genuine humility is not the absence of ambition. Genuine humility is the full ownership of your gifts, combined with the commitment to use them in service of something greater than yourself. You can be deeply humble and wildly ambitious at the exact same time. And in fact, the most extraordinary people who have ever lived have been exactly that. Your hunger is not an accident. The specific shape of your ambition, the particular vision that keeps returning to you, no matter how many times you try to dismiss it, no matter how many times life has pushed you backward, that is not random. That hunger was placed inside you with a purpose. It is pointing at something real, something possible, something that the world needs you to build. The lion does not ask permission to be hungry. It does not wait for the other animals to give it their blessing before it pursues what it needs. It reads the landscape, it trusts its instincts, and it moves with full commitment, full confidence, and the absolute authority of something that has never once doubted its right to want what it wants. Own your hunger, own your ambition. Wear it not as a burden, but as a crown, because the size of what you want is a direct reflection of the size of what you are capable of becoming. We live in a world that is terrified of solitude, a world that has filled every moment of silence with noise, every pocket of stillness with stimulation, every breath of alone time with the compulsive need to connect, to scroll, to perform, to be seen. Because somewhere deep in the collective psyche, solitude has been confused with loneliness, and loneliness has been labeled as failure. We have built an entire culture around constant connection, constant validation, constant external input, and in doing so, we have quietly robbed millions of people of the one experience that has historically produced the greatest thinking, the deepest clarity, and the most powerful personal transformation available to a human being. The lion understands something that most people have forgotten. When it is time to hunt, when it is time to do the real, serious, life-defining work, the lion goes alone. Not because the lion cannot cooperate. Lions are social animals. They live in prides. They understand community and loyalty. But there are certain pursuits, certain moments of deep, focused, high-stakes effort where other voices, other opinions, other presences, no matter how well-intentioned, become distractions from the singular focus that success requires. The lion does not bring the entire pride to the hunt and then debate strategy at the critical moment. It moves, it focuses, it executes. Alone, solitude is not emptiness. Solitude is the space where your most powerful thoughts can finally be heard above the noise of everyone else's opinions about your life. It is the environment in which you stop performing for an audience and start being honest with yourself about who you are, what you truly want, and what you are genuinely willing to sacrifice to get there. The greatest inventors, artists, leaders, and builders in history have all described periods of intense solitude as the incubators of their most important breakthroughs. Self-reliance is the twin of solitude, and it is perhaps the most undervalued quality in an age that celebrates collaboration and community above all else. Self-reliance does not mean refusing help or living in isolation. It means building such a strong, clear, unshakable relationship with your own judgment, your own values, and your own capacity that you are never completely dependent on external approval to take your next step. It means that when everyone else doubts, when the crowd turns away, when the support system falls silent, you still move forward because you have learned to trust yourself. The lion does not pause mid-hunt to check whether the other animals are watching, whether they approve of its technique, whether they think the approach is wise. It has already done the preparation. It trusts its own body, its own instincts, its own timing. And when the moment comes, it acts with the full, undivided commitment of something that has never outsourced its confidence to someone else's opinion. Build your relationship with solitude. Learn to sit with yourself without reaching for distraction, because the most important conversations you will ever have are the ones you have alone, in the silence, with the truest version of if you were to observe a lion in its natural habitat over the course of a full day. Something might surprise you, something that at first glance might even seem contradictory for a creature that carries the title of King of the Jungle. Because what you would observe for the majority of those hours is a lion doing something that most high-achieving, hustle culture conditioned human beings have decided they cannot afford to do. You would observe the lion resting, deeply, unapologetically, magnificently resting. Lions sleep and rest for up to 20 hours a day. They do not pace anxiously through the savannah worrying about what the zebras think of their productivity. They do not lie awake consumed by guilt about the hours not spent hunting. They do not perform busyness for the observation of others to signal their worth and dedication. They rest completely, fully, without reservation, because they understand something at an instinctive level that human beings in the modern world have tragically unlearned. Rest is not the opposite of performance. Rest is the foundation of performance. The culture of relentless hustle has done something deeply damaging to an entire generation of ambitious people. It has rebranded exhaustion as a virtue, sleep deprivation as a badge of honor, and rest as the exclusive privilege of the weak, the unmotivated, and the unserious. Sleep when you're dead has become a rallying cry for people who are slowly but surely destroying the very instrument, their mind and their body, that all their ambition depends upon. The science is unambiguous on this point. Sleep deprivation degrades cognitive function, emotional regulation, decision-making capacity, and creative thinking. The exact faculties that high achievement demands most. Every hour of rest you deny yourself in the name of productivity is an hour that compounds against you, quietly degrading the quality of every thought, every decision, and every action that follows. The lion rests so that when it moves with everything it has. The hunt, when it comes, is explosive, focused, and decisive precisely because the energy required for it has been carefully preserved and protected through hours of stillness. The lion's rest is not laziness, it is strategy. It is the intelligent management of a finite and precious resource. The lion mentality does not mean grinding yourself to dust and calling it dedication. It means understanding that you are the most important asset in the pursuit of everything you want to build, and that an asset that is never maintained, never rested, never restored, depreciates rapidly until it is worth nothing at all. Give yourself permission to rest without guilt. Build recovery into your schedule the way the lion builds it into its day. Not as a reward for when you have done enough, because that moment will never come, but as a non-negotiable requirement for the level of performance you are committed to sustaining. The world does not need you running on empty. The world needs you at your absolute best, rested, sharp, fully charged, and ready to hunt with everything you'll have when the moment demands it. There is a very particular kind of person that every lion, every genuinely ambitious, boundary-pushing, standard-setting human being will inevitably encounter on their journey. You have already met them. You will meet them again. They come in many forms and many relationships, sometimes a friend, sometimes a family member, sometimes a colleague, sometimes a stranger on the internet with a strong opinion and no personal experience with what you are attempting. They are the ones who tell you it cannot be done. They are the ones who remind you of every failure you have ever had, as though those failures are the full and final verdict on your future. They are the ones who wear the language of concern. I just don't want to see you get hurt. I'm just being realistic. I just think you should think more carefully, while quietly doing something else entirely, projecting their own fears, their own limitations, their own abandoned dreams onto your living, breathing ambition. And if you are not careful, if you have not yet built the kind of internal foundation that the lion carries naturally, their voices will find their way inside you and take up permanent residence. The lion does not modify its behavior based on the bleating of sheep. Let that statement sit with you for a moment, because it contains one of the most important principles of extraordinary living. The lion does not call a meeting to discuss whether its ambitions are appropriate. It does not poll the herd before deciding to pursue its purpose. It does not shrink the scope of its hunt because the other animals find it intimidating or unrealistic. The lion simply knows what it is, and it lives accordingly, regardless of what anything else in the ecosystem thinks about that. This does not mean arrogance. The lion mentality is not about contempt for others or the dismissal of all feedback as irrelevant. There is an important distinction between the opinion of someone who has walked a similar path, who has earned the right to speak into your life through their own experience and their genuine investment in your growth, and the opinion of someone who has never attempted what you are attempting, who has no personal experience with the territory you are navigating, and whose feedback is shaped more by their own fear of the unfamiliar than by any genuine wisdom about your specific situation. Learn to tell the difference. And once you can tell the difference, protect your peace accordingly. The noise of other people's limited thinking is the most dangerous pollutant in the environment of a growing mind. Because unlike physical pollution, you cannot see it, smell it, or measure it. It seeps in gradually through repeated exposure, and it works quietly, reshaping your beliefs about what is possible for you, until you wake up one day and realize that the cage you are living in was built entirely out of someone else's opinions that you forgot to question. The lion's silence is not ignorance, it is authority, It is the quiet certainty of something that has never needed the approval of a smaller creature to know its own worth. One of the most misunderstood principles of both nature and achievement is the one displayed most powerfully in the hunting behavior of the lion. Because if you watch a lion hunt, if you study the full arc of what happens from the moment it spots its target to the moment it makes its move, you will notice something that flies directly in the face of the always be grinding, always be chasing, always be running philosophy that dominates so much of modern success culture. The lion does not immediately chase. It watches, it studies, it reads the landscape with extraordinary patience and precision. It identifies the target, assesses the conditions, notes the wind direction, observes the patterns of movement, calculates the distance, and positions itself slowly, quietly, with the kind of deliberate intentionality that is the mark of something that has learned to operate at the absolute intersection of patience and explosive readiness. And then, only when everything is aligned, only when the position is right and the moment is optimal, it moves, fast, decisive, total, and final. This is one of the most powerful lessons the lion has to offer. And it is one that the desperate, reactive, constantly chasing energy of modern ambition desperately needs to hear. Chasing is not the same as pursuing. Chasing is reactive. Chasing comes from a place of scarcity, of fear, of I need to catch this before it gets away. And chasing energy, that frantic, scattered, desperate energy, repels the very things it pursues in business, in relationships, in opportunity, and in life. Positioning is different. Positioning says, I know what I am worth. I know what I am working toward. I know who I am becoming, and I am going to place myself through preparation, through skill building, through strategic relationship building, through the daily discipline of becoming more capable and more ready, exactly where I need to be for when the right opportunity appears. And when that opportunity appears, you do not hesitate, you do not second guess, you strike with the full force of everything you have prepared. The greatest opportunities in life are not caught by the fastest runner. They are claimed by the most prepared, the most positioned, the most patient and precise, the person who has done the work in the dark, who has built the skills in the quiet seasons, who has maintained the discipline when no one was watching and no recognition was coming. That person, when the moment arrives, does not need to chase anything. The opportunity comes within reach because they have positioned themselves correctly, and they take it cleanly, decisively, and completely. Stop chasing what you want and start becoming the kind of person that what you want naturally gravitates toward. Build the skills, build the reputation, build the discipline, build the patience. Position yourself with such thorough preparation and such unwavering commitment to excellence that when your moment comes, and it will come, you are ready to take it with everything you have. Territory for the lion is not a casual concept. It is not a loosely defined suggestion of where the lion prefers to spend his time. It is a deeply held, actively maintained, rigorously defended declaration of ownership. The lion's absolute commitment to a specific domain and its willingness to invest every ounce of its energy, focus, and power into not merely occupying that domain, but truly, completely, undeniably owning it. The lion does not drift between territories, hedging its bets, spreading its attention thin across multiple landscapes, never fully committing to any one place. The lion plants its roots and it dominates, thoroughly, consistently, and without apology. This is the final and perhaps most defining dimension of the lion mentality for human beings who want to build lives of genuine excellence. It is the principle of territorial ownership applied to your craft, your work, your domain of expertise, and it comes down to one thing above all others: standards. Standards are the invisible territory markers of a high achiever. They are the non-negotiable commitments to quality, to consistency, to excellence in the specific area you have chosen to own, that define the boundary between your work and everyone else's. And just like the lion's territory, your standards must be actively maintained. They do not hold themselves. They do not protect themselves. They require your continuous, deliberate daily investment because the world will constantly test them. Circumstances will push against them. Convenience, fatigue, distraction, and the temptation of shortcuts will challenge them every single day. The lion's territory is not owned once and then forgotten. The lion patrols its boundaries. It marks them repeatedly. It responds immediately and decisively to any challenge. And it does this not out of insecurity, not out of a panic need to prove something, but out of a calm, settled, unshakable certainty that this territory belongs to it and that maintaining it is simply what lions do. Dominating your domain does not require you to compete with everyone around you. It requires you to compete with the version of yourself you were yesterday. To ask every single day whether the work you produced today met the standard you set for yourself, whether the effort you gave was truly the best you were capable of giving, whether you showed up as the fullest, most prepared, most committed version of yourself in your specific field. The world has an infinite appetite for genuine excellence. In a marketplace flooded with mediocrity, with half-hearted effort and good enough standards, the person who commits completely to their domain, who refuses to let their standards slip, who treats every piece of work as a declaration of who they are and what they stand for, stands out not by trying to be louder than everyone else, but simply by being undeniably, consistently, magnificently better at what they have chosen to own. Claim your territory. Set your standard. Defend it every single day, not with aggression, but with excellence so consistent and so thorough that the territory simply becomes undeniably, recognizably, irrevocably yours. Ladies and gentlemen, we have journeyed together through the full landscape of the lion mentality, and what we have found there is something far deeper than animal instinct. What we have found is a philosophy, a way of being, a complete and total approach to life that, when adopted with full conviction and full commitment, has the power to transform every single area of your existence. We learned that the lion never apologizes for its hunger, and neither should you. Your ambition is not arrogance. It is your purpose wearing the clothing of desire, and it deserves to be owned fully, without apology, without qualification, and without shame. We learned that the lion hunts alone, that solitude is not isolation, but the sacred space where your most powerful self is forged. We learned that the lion rests without guilt, that strategic recovery is not weakness, but the intelligent preparation of your greatest instrument for its greatest performance. We learn that the lion is unmoved by the opinions of sheep, that the noise of limited thinking and fearful criticism loses every power it has over you the moment you decide to stop listening and start living. We learn that the lion never chases, that positioning, preparation, and precision are more powerful than any amount of frantic, scattered effort. And we learn that the lion owns its territory with relentless standards, that true dominance is not achieved through competition with others, but through an unbreakable commitment to your own excellence. Now, here is what I need you to understand as we close this journey together. The lion mentality is not something reserved for the chosen few. It is not a gift distributed at birth to a lucky handful of human beings while the rest are left to survive on the scraps of someone else's greatness. The lion mentality is a choice, made daily, renewed every morning, tested every moment that life presents you with the option to shrink or to rise. You were not put on this earth to graze. You were not placed in this world to drift with the herd, to blend into the background, to live a life defined by the edges of someone else's comfort zone. You were built for something larger, something bolder, something that requires every ounce of the strength, the hunger, the precision, and the unshakable certainty that the lion carries so naturally. The lion inside you has been patient enough. It has waited long enough. It has been quiet long enough. It is time to rise. It is time to roar. It is time to own every single inch of the territory you were born to claim. Before I let you go, I want to take a moment to look you in the eye. Through this screen, through this speech, across whatever distance separates us, and say something that I mean with every part of who I am. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for choosing to invest your most irreplaceable resource, your time and your attention, in the pursuit of becoming more than you were yesterday. That choice, in a world full of distractions and easy escapes, is itself an act of the lion mentality, and I do not take it lightly. You came here today for a reason. Something in you recognized that the life you have been living has not yet fully expressed the life you are capable of living. And that recognition, that quiet, persistent, burning recognition, is the lion stirring inside you. Do not ignore it. Do not silence it. Do not negotiate with it or ask it to be patient for one more year, one more season, one more comfortable excuse. Feed it, follow it, trust it. And as you walk back into your world, into your challenges, your responsibilities, your beautiful and unrepeatable life, carry the lion with you, not as a performance, not as a mask, but as the truest, most natural expression of who you have always been beneath everything that tried to shrink you. You are not a sheep. You never were. You are a lion, and it is time you started living like one. Good luck. Not because luck is what you need, but because you deserve every extraordinary thing that is already on its way to you. Now go. The savannah is yours.